Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I wanted to give you a tour of my planty space, what we are working with, what plants I have, how they are currently, where they are currently, and what I'm trying to achieve here. So without further ado, let's get into it. And welcome to me in voiceover mode. So going through my collection, first off we're going to start with my Alocasia Platinum. I believe this is the newest plant in my collection. I think it is really stunning. I got it on clearance and I just transferred it to semi-hydro and it has taken to it really well. There are a few leaf casualties, but that's to be expected. I then have a succulent that I have no idea about. A combination pot of different types of nerve plants, a white fusion calathea, a marble queen pothos, and I think another pothos that I have actually no idea what it is. I got it as a cutting in like a mystery box. A transcendia, and then a Dischidia nummuloria, or something similar to that, hopefully. I then have my Acechinanthus radicans rasta, and up here I have quite a few of both of these plants around. First is my Alocasia zebrina, which came as one big plant that I have split and trying to grow it in some different lighting conditions. That's its new leaf, which is very exciting. Then I have a Pelea peperomides, or Chinese money plant. Moving on to this little section that is got my Philodendron meleochrysnum, which I think is beautiful, wonderful, stunning, gorgeous. I do have a cabinet here that I'm not going to take you in today, just because I didn't want to. Again, here is another Alocasia zebrina in a little bit I would consider almost higher light. I have some pups down here of my pineapple plant, my bromeliad, which I believe to be an ornamental pineapple plant. And then moving on down, I have this pitcher plant. I'm not entirely sure what type of pitcher this is. But I have recently, it used to be absolutely huge and I recently chopped it and am trying to propagate it because it just didn't look very healthy. It still doesn't, but I'm hoping for better things in the future. And then I have my Ficus Chevernia Moonshine, which is putting out a new leaf for me. Although you might not be able to see it because my camera skills are obviously not great with this lack of focusing. My bad. And that wraps up this little section. Oh, of course it doesn't. I have this absolutely massive Alocasia. This is my Alocasia macrorrhizia, which I don't know how I forgot because it is, I think, the biggest plant by far in my collection. It is so easy to grow for me. And I just think it's just wonderful. But yeah, now that concludes this little section, which is supplemented by 2 grow lights. Moving a little bit further forwards, I have here my Philodendron Campii Lynette, which I bought at the Malvern spring festival this year, and I was umming and ahhing about buying it, and I'm so glad I did. I absolutely love the leaves. Again, it's been such an easy one to grow for me. I think the texture on the leaves is out of this world. I just love it. It looks so jungly. It's perfect where it is. Very happy it's in my collection. One that is slightly less favourable and not very easy to grow for me is this Philodendron Brantanium. Just don't ask, maybe. This is very new to my collection. This is my Dracaena Milky Way, which I cannot wait to see some growth on it. And then here I have a Parlour Palm, which again, I'm not very good at growing. This is a new location for it, a bit brighter light. And then I have two little terrariums. In there, I've got a collection of ferns, nerve plants, some creeping oak, and I recently put in a little Hoya at the back left there, which again, very good camera skills, very good on the old being in focus. And then moving along to the sort of more globe type one, again, creeping oak, a Scindapsus is in there, another fern, some Transcendia, some nerve plants. That one's not looking as polished, and I do think I need to get in there and sort him out. But yeah, that concludes there. And then moving on to either side of my door. These are my golden pothos. These used to be a lot longer, and they were growing on a moss pole, but I took them off. And they also got mealybugs, so I cut a lot of the foliage off because I just couldn't get rid of them. And so yeah, now we're sort of starting from scratch, but hopefully when they trail all the way down here, they will look amazing. Down into my Euphorbia triagona, I believe, or the African milk tree, in this quite pink pot, which I do plan to spray. And then I have my Oxalis triangulus, which I have only just mastered how to grow this. And since I have, it's been really rewarding. It gives these little flowers so frequently. I did start to, or I did begin by cutting them all off, but I've just learned to accept them as part of the plant. I don't really think it takes away from the foliage, to be honest. I've got another little statue, it matches my other one. They come as a pair. And then here I have my Monstera deliciosa, which has been a bit of a struggle plant for me, but as you can see, I've got a new leaf right in the middle. I think it looks really, really cute. It's still hardening off. Hopefully it will get a little bit bigger. And yeah, I'm excited to see now that this one's growing again, where I can take it, hopefully, to double fenestrations. And then moving on to my first shelf. The first plant on here is my Hoya af Burtonnae, which is trellis. It's growing a little bit funky because of the light source being underneath the shelf, so the leaves are sort of not facing directly forwards, but that's fine. It's growing really well here, and I'm very happy with its growth. Then I have this little sort of dish of cacti, which I don't know what any of these cacti are. I just kind of bought them and threw them all together and have hoped for the best. So far, none of them have died, which is amazing. I feel like there might be a little bit of rotting on some of the bigger ones on the left, but I'm not sure. But I do think they look really wonderful in this pot. And then moving along to the plant that I think I would consider got me into houseplants. This is my first sort of, I don't know, less common houseplant. This is my Alocasia Black Velvet, which is currently in the 2-leaf club, but we are getting a 3rd leaf, which is very exciting. Again, I recently transferred this one to semi-hydro, and I think it is responding quite well. And I just love how thick these leaves are and how striking they are. Moving on up, this is just my propagation shelf and a lot of flickering, which is not ideal. So yes, moving on across, I have my Alocasia Michelitziana, which has been growing again phenomenally for me. I put this in semi-hydro and it has just taken off. I'm just getting leaf after leaf. I believe it to be really happy. The roots are really starting to fill out the container, which is really nice to see. Then I have my Burrow's tail. I lost a little bean, but it is getting some roots on there, which is very exciting, if you can see with my really great camera skills. And I have this little framed picture, which is cute. I have this nerve plant, which I've put in semi-hydro, which is far easier for me to now look after them, but it looks a bit scraggly. Then I have a little Peperomia Hope. And again, another Alocasia zebrina, just again trying to grow it in a different light. And this one appears to be quite happy. It's giving me a new leaf, which is very exciting. This is the first time in my life I've ever successfully grown them. I think this is my 4th time of trying the plant. So hopefully I'm now on for a winner. And yeah, all supplemented by grow lights underneath the shelves. Moving on to the top shelf. I have I believe this to be a Crassula ovata or string of buttons, and we do have quite a lot of sort of breakage on there. I dropped it at one point and it's kind of never fully recovered. Then I have my rather large begonia jewel, which I would really love to propagate. I just haven't got around to it. I think it's such a beautiful plant. And then I have my Monstera addisonii or monkey mask. And I also really struggle with this one, and I just put it in semi-hydro, and I have experienced some new growth with those bottom leaves, which is really exciting, and hopefully I can get this one to size up a little bit. And yes, again, all supplemented by grow lights on the ceilings and on the shelves. Just a moment of appreciation for Temujin, one of my cats. And then moving on to my living wall. This is obviously a work in progress. I do have quite a few pockets not filled, but plants are quite expensive. So it's taking a bit of time to get it all done. These plants at the top are ones that I want on the wall, but aren't quite ready for it. I don't think they're big enough or bushy enough. And then I've just got a compilation of different types of ferns. I've got some pothos, I've got some ivy. And yeah, it's just a big sort of mix of different things. I'm kind of learning what is surviving on the wall, what isn't really surviving on the wall, and yeah, what looks best and is relatively okay to take care of for me. The ferns are a little bit difficult because they are quite thirsty, so I have to make sure I'm on top of that. But so far, so good. And then moving across, I have my Anthurium walkerianum, which is doing quite well at the moment, I think. I didn't see any growth for a very long time on this one, and it has just started to put out a new leaf, which is very exciting for me. I'm horrifically excited to see if this one comes out intact and how large it might get. I don't think it's getting the best light, but I'm hoping it's getting enough. And the leaf came out since I started this sort of little air layering cup, so that's quite promising. This is my, I think it's a plectanthrus. I just love the foliage on this. I think the light pink and green are absolutely beautiful. Another little picture. And then I have my fishbone cactus, which I just think is awesome. It's such a funky plant. You know, I don't need to say anymore. It's so cool. And moving on up, I have this. This is a Transcendia White Brightness, but I'm obviously far more interested in the books and how good I think the styling is of them. I absolutely love this Transcendia. I think it reminds me of a wedding bouquet. I just think it's really, truly beautiful. Like, I want to walk down the aisle with a really big, bushy, thick one of those in my hands. A little jar. And then I have another pitcher plant, which is, I believe this is again a propagation of the pitcher plant that I cut up. This one is looking a little bit crispy, but it's also got some nice big pitchers on it, and I'm still kind of getting to grips with it. Then I have my bop, or my bird of paradise, which I've just repotted into this larger pot. Again, pink, but I am going to spray it gold. It doesn't quite fit my aesthetic yet. But yes. And again, all supplemented with grow lights. And then moving on over to this shelf, I have my quite large peace lily that doesn't have any blooms because I keep letting it faint. I think I'm going to try and put this one in semi-hydro just to make its care a little bit easier for me. I've heard a lot of people have success with that, and hopefully I can keep it a bit happier consistently. I have this spider plant, which I got as a little propagation from my dad, which is growing really nicely, which I hope to put on the wall eventually when it gets big enough. And then I have this little string of pearls, which I don't think is actually getting enough light, but I really like the way it kind of sits in its little pot hanging down a little bit sparsely. I think it looks quite nice. So I'm not too mad about that. I probably will be in the future when it could potentially get as long as my string of hearts, which is absolutely thriving. I do nothing to this plant. I just fill up the reservoir and I leave it, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing for me. And I just think it's so cool. I'm really, really happy with this. I could be a bit bushier, but I'm really happy with the growth, and I'm going to have to propagate it soon because it's going to touch the floor. Then I've got my Cebu Blue. This was on a moss pole. I think I took it off a moss pole a week and a half ago because it just wasn't really doing anything. It wasn't really adhering to the moss pole. It had a few fenestrations, but I had those before I put them on the moss pole, so it wasn't really serving the purpose that I hoped it might. So I'm just going to allow this to be a trailing plant for now and see what happens in the future. And then I believe this to be my biggest shelf. I've got, first and foremost, this blue star fern. Oh, and another stack of books I'm clearly very proud of, which on top sits my blue star fern. I can't take the credit for this. I bought this plant quite big. I just love the kind of bluey hue to it. I love that it's so 3D, and it hasn't caused me any trouble since I've had it. I think I've had it maybe 3 months now, and it definitely has grown in that time. It's just a very easy one. My Alocasia Dragon Scale, on the other hand, this is the best it's ever looked. It's putting out new growth. It looks so healthy, touch wood. I moved it to semi-hydro, best decision ever. I've had very big struggles with this plant. It's been just little nubs for me for such a long time, so I'm very glad it's thriving now. I've then got this type of cactus, or potentially succulent. I just picked it up in B&Q the other day because I thought it was so cute. I haven't done anything to it other than put it in that pot. And then I have my Anthurium Silver Blush, which has been growing really well for me. I've got quite a lot of new growth on there, and I'm very excited to see how this grows for me and sizes up. And then I have my Ficus Elastica Burgundy, I believe. I have had this plant for a very long time, and I have neglected it, which is why the newer leaves are smaller than the original leaves. I definitely wasn't in good conditions, or I definitely haven't watered it enough. But I think I have figured it out. I've moved it to semi-hydro. It's a lot easier to maintain, and hopefully I get to see some lovely big leaves coming in. Again, another Pelia, just again in a slightly different lighting condition. And then I have some ivy propagating. I really like this shelf. I think it looks really earthy and green. And again, supplemented by grow lights. And then my final shelf. I have the most beautiful Philodendron Brazil. I love this plant. I love the variegation on it. I love the green on green. I don't have anything else to say apart from this plant is a 10 out of 10 from me. It is just so easy and so rewarding, and everyone needs one. If you don't have one, you need one. That's it. Then I believe this is a maidenhair vine, and I believe its official or scientific name is like a Muhenblechia something or other. Far too long for me to be pronouncing. But another stack of books I am obviously insanely proud of, and another Pelia in slightly higher lighting conditions. And then I have my Peperomia, what I believe to be a Santorini. I found it really hard to get an ID on this one. I love the green and the grey. I think it looks really, really nice. A nice contrast. And that concludes all of the plants. That is my plant room. I hope you enjoyed. I'm very excited to grow everything I have and hopefully expand my collection in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.